I would just like to thank you all for being with us today for this second framework training preview webinar. As you already may know, the goal of this event is to tell you more about the innovation framework, innovation meta strategy, lateral thinking metrics, and share all the relevant details you have to know for this training we are having in March. So as I already mentioned, we have to go over some rules before I hand over to our panelists. As always, Zoom is the tool we are using, and after the event, our sales team will share recording and presentation. For any of your questions and feedback, you have Q&A box, Zoom chat, and as well as BlueCallom contact email, which is info@bluecallom.com. Our panelists and speakers today are Matthias Flack and Axel Schulze, and they're both instructors at the BlueCallom Spring Program Innovation Framework Training. Matthias is director of the Institute of Communication and Marketing and professor for digital business at the Lucerne School of Business. He holds a PhD from the University of St. Gallen. And here in BlueCallom, he is responsible for the continuous development of the BlueCallom Innovation Framework. Welcome, Matthias, and thank you for being with us today. Axel Schulze is BlueCallom CEO who founded 4 highly disruptive businesses in Europe and Silicon Valley. After helping startups develop innovative businesses, he created an innovation framework and AI-driven management software, empowering businesses and business leaders to transform their companies into innovative organizations. Thank you, Matthias. Thank you, Axel, for being with us, and the stage is all yours.
Thank you very much. Well, let's talk on what to expect today. Well, today we will talk about the BlueCallom Innovation Framework. We will have a look on what breakthrough innovation is, where innovation comes from, and how you manage innovation. Further on, we will look on the framework training program, so the detailed course structure, specific outcomes, of course, logistics like dates and the training benefits. So, innovation is not art, it is brainwork. That's what we believe and what we found out here at BlueCallom. We believe that innovation is not a random process, but it's manageable and repeatable, and we reflect that within our innovation principles. So innovation is based on how the brain works. The brain is a rather complicated mechanism that works in our hand, and it's not just a simple hard disk that can store data. It's not a simple microprocessor that can do multiple tasks sequentially. It's more like a quantum computer who can do things parallel and jump back and forth. Well, let's use it if we have it. So the basic techniques we have within our brain and we can use within our framework are composing ideas out of existing memories, out of existing experience, lateral thinking, the before mentioned jumping back and forth, and the stimulation based on analogous thinking, various brainstorming techniques, and so on. So with all that, innovation is manageable and repeatable. It's not art, it's not mythical. So once you know that, innovation is an end-to-end process. It all starts with a CEO mandate and it ends with global scaling. The CEO mandate is more or less the first stone that within the innovation journey that is crafted by the CEO and is giving the team all the necessary information to start. Design thinking and similar methods you may employ within innovation methods are part of our process, but do not cover the whole journey. BlueCallom has an holistic approach and not just the ideation stage in the middle. So what does it include besides ideation? What is innovation within an innovation journey? Well, it starts with executive commitment. It includes components like team, go-to-market, financing, growth management, and global scaling. not just becoming champion of Switzerland or something like that. So where do we get there? Well, not with idea hunting, but by solving problems. Innovation management is more than looking just for solutions for our daily little inconvenience. And we all know these funny little pictures on the right-hand side, but these are little helpers. These are not innovations. So we need to look for large unsolved problems as the basis for groundbreaking innovation, rather than trying to make a chair more relaxing, a TV set even brighter or whatsoever. So searching for ideas for continuous improvement will not lead you to groundbreaking innovation. But if you taking grand challenges and try to solve them, well, that may bring you to the next level. So how do we get to groundbreaking innovation? Well, there is no one else than Axel who can give us information on that. And he will have now share his wisdom about the enterprise innovation objectives.
All right. Thank you very much, Mathis. And hello from Vietnam. So I'm right now in Vietnam meeting customers here. I had several innovation framework meetings, conferences, and trainings here already. Just one thing, and this I just have to say this is an amazing growth here in Vietnam, and this is the whole spirit of, we feel this in a whole Asia, and it is not, you know, Potemkin dwarfs villages. It's actually really and serious. Now, when we talk about innovation objectives, we realized, and this is a little bit of story also from our discoveries with customers, that there are three things that always come to mind. The question is, how much and how big should that innovation actually be? And this is already a conflict between executives and teams, because an executive would say, okay, we probably need $1 billion or €1 billion or 1 billion francs, or, you know, whatever the currency is. And the team would probably be overwhelmed, and therefore the C-level would not really communicate to the teams, the innovation teams, that what they do should bring $1 billion in the next 5 years or something like that, which is equal to the first biggest problem that we have, because the teams don't know what the magnitude is of their work. And if they say, okay, here's a 50 million opportunity, they get excited, because a human being, no matter how rich or poor, 50 million would be an amazing number. Now, in a multi-$100 billion company, this is not even the icing on the cake. This is not even the bill they pay for coffee machines and garages and parking lots for their employees. So there's a huge discrepancy, and this is one thing when we talk about executive commitment and things in the journey that need to be addressed. Another is the significance. I mean, how significant is the innovation? There are teams, we have seen it in all kinds of companies. They came up with great ideas, and that was cute, and this was actually interesting, but had no significance to the corporation. It doesn't change the way that corporation does business. It doesn't change the appearance of the corporation in front of shareholders in stock markets. If teams doesn't know that this is actually something they should look for, they probably wouldn't naturally do that. And then finally, it comes to scope. So what is the scope? I mean, is this a little product, or is this a game changer? And these things should be actually mentioned even before we think about innovation, that this is a communication problem number one. Only if the team knows what to do, they can do it. And believe me, and I've seen it, that when we come with these types of problems all of a sudden, well, they're really waking up. So an anecdote from one of our customers, we had the same situation, and the CEO said, Axel, we cannot communicate that number. And in this case, it was like 700 million. And I said, why not? I mean, when they think they need to do 700 million revenue, this is more than the quota of our top-notch salesperson. Well, and I said, they don't have to sell it, they have to produce it. And engineers produce amazing stuff, and how many they sell is not their job. It's their job to produce it, and others can sell it. And so we had this little conversation. He thought, oh, okay. Maybe we talk about that. And then we had the head of innovation coming in, and I said, so what his perception is in terms of the size. And he said, no, this is something I really don't know. This is something the CEO has to say. And then he said, point blank, okay, what would you say if I say 700 million? And he said, oh, that is now a number. That is different. So what is it for? Well, we have to replace certain components that goes into the automobile industry, or maybe in the food industry, or wherever it is. And immediately the motivation, rocketed to the top when these guys understood what the magnitude is and the significance for the company. So with that starting, I'd like to continue, and the next is kind of the introduction to the framework, because this example, what I just mentioned, popped up in every single conversation we had with every single customer we have. So this is not just a one-off. This is one of the most significant things to start with. Now, another thing that is difficult for CEOs in particular to understand is, how can the CEO make sure that the team, that may be all good guys and they may hand-selected and what have you, that they actually can come up with these ideas which are so disruptive. And even if they come up with an idea, what is telling us in the executive bench that these ideas can even be produced? And then, do we know whether the market is accepting this at the stage where the market is here and now? And these three questions are difficult to answer. In most cases, people don't know and stop the innovation and look for something else. They look for the golden egg that actually, we all know that doesn't exist, but already golden eggs have been laid in pretty much every company. And so we came up with this framework and structuring it a little bit, saying, okay, what are the principles of innovation that are the same, whether you are in the chemical industry, whether you are producing cars or socks in mass industries in the textile industry, or bread, or whatever it is. The industry is completely independent of innovation. And this has to do with our brain. Our brain has 87 billion neurons, and they look all alike. And they have about 4 trillion synapses. And also they look all alike. And everything our brain does is dealing with emotions, with signals from the outside and combining it with signals inside. And the brain will never know and never understand what the difference is between the automobile industry and the pharmaceutical industry. We, as somebody on the surface using our brain, and that is a bit of a magic, what is the difference now between us and the brain? But we know what the difference are of these industries. But we know that the brain's activity in terms of innovation is completely the same no matter what industry. So there are principles, and we figured out there are about 10 were the most critical things to understand. And there's nothing, absolutely nothing that you need to know about brain surgery or neuroscience. And the funny positive thing is, you don't even need to know much about the technology or the chemical things or so that you have in your company. As a leader in the organization, you need to understand the framework of how the brain works, similar to a trainer who may not be the best football player, but trains the football players to become the best. Now, and there's 4 steps, principles that explains principles. Like, for instance, without executive engagement and executive power, nothing works in an innovation team. Nothing. Sounds crazy, but you simply need to trust me at this point. And there are 10 of these principles that really make sense to understand. Now, when we understand and say, okay, I understand at least. I don't know whether this is really true. I don't trust you fully, but it's logical enough to look into it. Then you will actually come to the second step, and this is the strategy. Now, also the strategy has a couple interesting things that are not really very intuitive, because when you become an innovative company, you will do not just one innovation and then you go back. So you will continuously innovate, and not only one teams, probably multiple teams who are working in different industries and different products and so forth. But at the time where you say, okay, let's innovate, at this time, nobody knows what the innovation will be. This is part of the innovation methodology, which I come to it in a second. But at that point, your only interest is that we become intellectually a leadership organization that leads an industry through innovation. And innovation is a leadership model. It's not just having a new product, because then you have a new product. So what's the big deal? Innovation is a leadership strategy, and innovation is a strategy with a couple things. For instance, much more competitive advantage, much more revenue, and a much longer leadership cycle. But these are the details, but therefore you need a strategy, and you don't need a strategy to actually create the innovation itself, but you need a strategy to have your team be able to follow a certain process to get to an innovation. And we call it innovation meta strategy. That defines how the corporation actually deals with innovation without saying what the innovation is, because in next year you will have more innovations, the year after and the year after again. So this is the mechanism of the strategy. And then you have methodologies, and Matas already mentioned there's a lot of methodologies out there. There's design thinking, there's a thing called stage gate, there's STRETS, we found about 100 innovation methods. And what drove us actually to the framework was the question, what is it that we have highly intelligent people in the industry? We have hundreds of methods, and no company has ever actually created a breakthrough innovation other than the one that was created when the company was founded. So the spark plug from Robert Bosch was a breakthrough, very clearly. But everything that comes thereafter was either acquired or was an improvement of the spark plug or of the acquired products. And this goes through the entire industry. And the realization was that it isn't the method and it isn't the strategy. It is not even the principle. It's the sum of all together. So I oftentimes, and did this here a couple of times where people liked it a lot, I compare innovation with the mission to moon. The mission to moon, and I know this a little bit because I worked for Rockwell way back in time, and so we were building all these electronic parts for NASA, and it was about 12,000 things that needed to fit to make everything work. And the interesting thing we learned, or I learned very, very quickly, is to understand, okay, there's 12,000 things. Never ask, what is the most important thing of those? If you take one out of the 12,000, the mission will go south. And there are 2 people or 3 people, and they will probably die. And that was a tough lesson for me to learn, that there are things that you can't say, well, give me the top 5 and the rest we will see. Because in critical missions, there's all or nothing. And innovation unfortunately, is an all or nothing thing. So now when we have our methodologies fixed and say, okay, this is the entire path from way before ideation all the way to the top where we are successfully in the market, there comes another question. And this is why our chart on the right-hand side is really lacking. I have to admit that, and I'm sorry for that. But also here, now we have the organization model. What we have seen so far is that those companies who actually made it to an innovation, even without our method, that was a groundbreaking idea. And basically, most startups, including the 4 that I founded, have been coming to a groundbreaking innovation without a method or a framework. But we also realized that all these startups who made it were 1 out of 1,000, or at best 1 out of 100. So we have about 95% failure rate. And when you look at the grand scheme of things, we have actually less than 1% win rate. So the organizational model, which is the 4th thing, is thought in most organizations as an afterthought. So when the thing is going right, we will put it back into the organization. We have production, we have superior sales, we have very good marketing, we have very good product management, we have a super support system and support engineers. We can do all that. You bring us the innovation, and then we shove it back into the organization, and we have great people to handle it. And this was the latest point where even the best innovation within a corporation actually imploded. Because when you think of your organization, you know that the organization is trimmed to perfection. Everybody knows their job. Everybody has a high truckload of work to do. And there's this thing called employee utilization. And if this goes beyond 80%, this is a red flag. If it's in the 90% range, this is very good. And depending on the job, ideally even more. Now, if you come with an innovation, which is a very demanding product, then you ask these people who are so full of stuff that they need to do something on top of it, which has a tiny revenue in the beginning. And you might wonder, why is that not working? I mean, we have all these people. Yeah, but they don't have time for that. They have priorities. And as soon as there is a drive for more revenue or more support or whatever it is, I mean, the innovative product, the tiny little thing, would be the last one they take care for. Let's see, to the next. So the question then is, what does it mean to you? As an innovation team, remember that what innovation is made of. So then assume a most likely scenario, and then try to present it to your CEO. Because rule number 1 in the framework is CEO commitment. And if there's no CEO commitment, I said this before, there is no innovation. But when there is, the CEO is the person who has the corporate strategy in mind, is the person who sort of understands where the company should go in the next 5 to 10 years. It's the person who can judge what this innovation that you have is actually of value to the company. And for the CEO, the remembrance is what innovation is made of, again, and then attract the most likely candidates in your organization and share with them the mandate for breakthrough innovation. And this is where the things come together. And when you look into this framework, and I believe Mattis is talking a little bit more about that later on, you will see that the framework is sort of the very big plan. And now, unfortunately, I cannot show it because I'm not home. On my back wall at home, there is a big picture, shows Earth and shows the moon. And this picture is actually from NASA and shows what it all takes, all the steps from where, the rocket needs to be injected to get out of the atmosphere and cross over to the moon, and then do the loop around the moon, and then land there and take it back, and so forth and so forth. And this is an endless plan. But these endless plans made it to something that the entire human race, so to speak, probably remembers, even though there's a lot of people who would say, well, this will never happen. This was this was all made up fake. Innovation is one of these things that has, unfortunately, a long-lasting plan and lots of little details. But what I said in the very beginning, keep in mind, innovation is the single most important thing when you want to build a big competitive advantage. And there's nothing that can build a better competitive advantage than innovation. When you look into the Googles and the Teslas and all these companies, The question is, why is Google such an enormously profitable company? Why is Facebook so profitable? And remember the times when they went to go to the stock exchange and went public. People were laughing about them. They didn't even have profits. But today there are profit-rich organizations because the competitive advantage they had back in the time when nobody believed that this is actually working grew and grew and grew. This goes for all these companies, including my first company. Sorry?
I think that's a wonderful keyword, the competitive advantage, to link how the training looks like and in order how you create that competitive advantage. Well, on our mission to moon and the 25,000 pieces we need, we tried to boil it down to a 2-day training to get you to that process. And that sounds like a mission impossible. So let's explain the 4 level we're having. We're having a purpose level where we have a strategy level, an organization level, and a method level, where we teach you all components of the framework, all its parts, and give you for every part of it detailed outcomes to work with. It's all based on our innovation principles, where we provide you with an original definition of what innovation is, where we tell you where innovation comes from, how you analyze market dynamics. You learn about the importance of the executive commitment, how to craft your budget and not to use your R&D money, but to make it a sole innovation budget. What is important about team culture and compositions? What are innovation-specific metrics? What is the neuroscience influence in order to create that end-to-end innovation journey? So based on that principles, we tell you about the purpose level. And that's the competitive advantage Axel mentioned. So how do you become the leader of an industry? Yeah. How do you become more profitable than the rest? Because you're having an advantage in terms of time. And how you become a leader, a first mover, or a thought leader of your industry, defining the paths and tracks others just can follow. On a strategy level, we have 2 big things we want to work with you and your teams on. First is the innovation meta strategy. If you do not have an innovation strategy as a whole, as a company, it's important for you as executives to make sure for scope and significance of your innovations and to craft them. And to give your team guidance on project level, you need an innovation mandate. You need to tell your team what to do and when to do and on what specific scale. And again, we'll help you to craft that. On an organizational level, well, it's not just about flippers and fancy pinball machines in your office. It's a whole more that you need to organize innovation. It is about IP considerations. It's about how you really incubate your team, the leadership and right selection of talents, creating a structure within the team of equals, and to provide this team a perspective where they're going to, including a ESOP plan, employee stock option plan. So that's the organization level. Well, and the method is something many companies focus on and consider their innovation management. And we say there's nothing wrong with that, but it's more than just innovation. And our method is indeed a little longer than just the ideation stage. It starts, as we said, with the mandate, and it ends with global scaling, employs techniques of neuroscience, and allows with specific metrics to measure the success. All this will be part of the training, and we hope this picture is providing you a good overview about what to expect within this 2-day seminar. So, objectives. So, you will learn how to craft a strategy and method and learn about that methodology that allow you for end-to-end engagement. So we believe innovation is manageable, and everything that's manageable needs strategy. So metrics. Well, you cannot manage it if you cannot measure it. That's as old as management is. And of course, you will learn about innovation-specific metrics from us that will allow you to keep that process alive and steer where it needs to be steered. Well, results, what to expect? Well, we believe you can have exceptional results with the BlueCallom framework as well as from the trainings. So it will increase your leadership and competitive advantage based on that strategy and further execution, which will be part of day 2. So try this. So I was a bit fast. So what will be the framework training look like? Well, first of all, we try to give you an overview of the framework. We then do our first deep dive into the principles. There's 10 principles that are similar within each industry, within each type of innovation. Then we go through what breakthrough ideas are and what role the brain plays. So really digging into a bit of neuroscience, but it's more about an applied science here. So we're not making you the neurons measure or something like that, but experience what is the beauty of when the sparks are coming. Strategy is, again, the center or piece of the innovation end-to-end process. So therefore, we tell you what it needs for an innovation meta strategy and what is specifically on C-level needed, because we believe that innovation can only start with that C-level commitment. And we tell you how to craft it either as a CEO or to help as a, let's say, innovation officer or team member, how to get your C-level to that stage. Day 2, again, will be the holistic view on the end-to-end innovation journey. So we're going through the 11 episodes. We will teach you that it's not a sequential process, but more a lateral process. You will learn about the specific role of talents and how to choose them, specify the difference between innovation and R&D, focus on the metrics and the organization structure you need to have. So within that 2-day training, we hope that you will learn everything that it's needed from envisioning a goal, maybe like Moon, as Axel mentioned, or at least as the next new thing, and help you to craft the way towards it. So what will the course look like from a logistic perspective? We deliver in an online-only course format. We have input talks from Axel and me. There's, of course, plenty of workshop and discussions where you apply our templates, our working sheets that help you through the process. And of course, we do this not on a kind of paper basket case. We do this with a specific reflection of your context and your organization so that you get the most out of it for yourself and your organization and not work on a kind of case study or whatever fictitious project. So what will be the benefits of the training? Well, you get state-of-the-art training material and documentation. We believe that this whole framework that is end-to-end based on principles, methodologies, and the strategy side is as complex as there is nothing else out there. We provide first-hand knowledge in facilitating groundbreaking innovation based on a broad track record we have in the corporate and startup world, so we know what we're talking about. And of course, you get a lot of checklists, models, and reflection boxes in order to make the next step and to see where you are and what to do. So to see that we're not making all this up, we have worked with companies like Roche, Voestalpine, or Vietnam Airlines, all in the $1 billion range, as well as with startups like Yamo, Sonic, or Guru. All 3 of them are part of the top 100 startups. So you can apply all this thinking to either the corporate level or even the entrepreneurs or innovators level. What else? Well, of course, there's a price. We have competitive pricing at 3,000 750 euros. Would like to welcome you at the 21st and 22nd of March, and you get a really long training experience. So it's a 2-day, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and probably some homework overnight. No, just kidding. But you see, that it'll be intense, but I promise it'll be worth it. So what's next? Well, your questions, and of course, get in touch with us. Axel and I are happy to answer your questions either now or in the aftermath, on phone, via mail, or whatever. So everything that makes sure that you are at the right time in the right cause and learn as much as you can about innovation. That's our goal, and that's what we want to make possible. And hereby, I like to come to an end with my presentation and of course with Axel's. And yeah, let's hear if there's some questions. So Tanya, do we have some?
Yeah, we do. So with that said, there are a few questions we received from our audience. I believe you both can answer it. So you have to decide if it matters or Axel. So first question I received is, what are the ideal skills or the other prerequisites to make the most out of the training? So what do you have to bring with you to be, successful in this training? Who should answer it, Matthias or Axel?
Let's give Axel a start, as I already talked about
Okay.
a lot and need a glass of water.
Okay, perfect. Axel, please answer the question.
So yeah, this is a big, long list of things you have to bring. It's you, and you. No, seriously. The interesting thing about the characteristic of innovation team members is curious, people, creative, crazy, and so forth. A little bit the same for the executives, but there is nothing you have to bring with you. There is no degree necessary to be a top innovation member, whether you are from sales or from marketing, from product management, from engineering, whether you are a scientist, a physicist, or a doctor, it doesn't really matter. The thing is that innovation is a process in our head that has nature given to us for about 375,000 years ago and has advanced 12,000 years ago, and that's all we need.
Yeah. So it's not the question about what to bring, but what to leave at home. So leave your existing pre-concepts and concept of innovation at home, and yeah, bring some openness. And yeah, that would be my answer. Any other questions, Tanya?
Yes, I do a few more. I do have some more questions for both of you. So the second question is, one of our attendees is asking, he wants to know why the framework is free of charge. So why are we giving the framework for free? Is there any specific reason behind it?
Well, that's a CEO decision, Axel. You must explain.
Okay, yeah. It's an interesting question. So the initial thought was that we actually apply for a patent. And that would be probably possible because this is such a procedural monster now that there's no reason for not getting a patent for it. However, I realized that some of the principles we all live by, and internet is one of those principles, fortunately never got a patent. So the original inventor of the HTTP protocol and HTML language, Berners-Lee, did not receive a patent, and we have an internet of a kind of a standard that we all can use. And so I thought, you know what, we give this internet away for free, and even more so, we give it as a CC copy so that you can use it, and you can even adjust it. All you have to do is mention the origin and point to the original version. That's all we are asking. I believe innovation will not only change the world, innovation will do one thing, and that is it will help all of us humans to overcome the problem that we're all seeing and are a bit fearful of, is the more robots we become, the more robots in not just in mechanical form, but also in digital form. ChatGPT, I mean, we're using it daily now. For everything we do in the innovation space, we use ChatGPT because we get knowledge basically on steroid. It's like, you know, drinking from a fire hose. And the good thing of tools like that is that they are for free. And so we decided we give it away for free. It forces us to continue develop it, which we will do. It forces us to build the best possible product that actually supports the whole thing. Because when you're imagine that you have a ideation session and produce about 10,000 ideas, which is a good thing, well, you need to store it somewhere. And so BlueCallom is mostly about the software that we're selling, and this is what we're making money off. But the knowledge about innovation should be free, and this is why we do it.
And I just love working with great people. So, and money shouldn't just be a stop sign for that. So, but that's simple me. Tanya.
Super.
Okay, let's move on. One of our attendees says, in your presentation, you mentioned the benefits of the framework training. In your opinion, what would be the #1 benefit of this framework training?
I think I'll leave that up to Matas.
#1 benefit is probably making the first step in a very long journey. I think most within the innovation journey, within the innovation field, or just seeing too many obstacles and not seeing a clear path on how to end, but having that path in front of you and having made the first steps and knowing how to overcome the critical obstacles in the way, that is probably what I would give as the biggest benefit.
Actually, want to add something, or I can go to the next question?
Perfect. Agree. Simply agree what Matas said.
Great.
Thinking alike.
Here is one interesting question. If we are already using StageGate and we decide for the BlueCallom framework, will there be a conflict?
That's a good one. So maybe if I take the first cut on this, first of all, there will be no conflict at all, because the whole innovation concept is so much bigger than just one method. Ours is, we call it deep innovation design because it goes deeper and it goes longer. But also in our method, there are basically episodes in between and so on. If you want to keep StageGate, keep StageGate or compare it. And if it fits into your application of using the framework, then you keep it or you don't. But you get so much around it, because also in StageGate, you have still the question, where do I get the best talents from? How do I actually stimulate the brain to come up with these amazing ideas? What is the role of a CEO in this game? And what should he do and what he shouldn't do? I mean, this thing is about 120 now paragraphs or features. And I would say about 10 are related to the methodology, and the other 110 are actually related to innovation in general. Yeah.
I believe this answered the question. And the last question from our attendee is the framework also helpful for incremental innovation?
Well, yes and no. It's helpful in a way that it teaches you what is at first the difference between incremental innovation and groundbreaking innovation, and that will really make you thirsty for the latter one. And it helps you in a way that you understand what you can do so much more than just doing little steps ahead. But I see Axel is just trying to chime in.
No. I think you nailed it. I mean, I can only repeat it. So incremental innovation, and this is actually also described somewhere the borderline between improvement and innovation. When you look into improvements or incremental innovation as a word for that, you will realize when you understand the framework that improvement and innovation are two different processes from the activities point of view. It's two different budget models, because one is pretty much a linear improvement budget. The other is an innovation budget that scales from, I have an idea and I need to build a prototype, and then I need to have people, and then we need to go to market, and innovation is, when we take it as its truest sense, is a change in behavior on the customer side and so forth. And these changes need to be managed somehow. The marketing has to respond to it. And there's all these things that innovation makes the innovation successful at the end, which on the improvement side is very simple. You improve the product that you have for the customers that you have, for an improvement that they maintain being customer that you have. So this is an investment in what you already developed. Innovation is an investment in the future of your company. And if you take all these components, you realize improvement is strategically important, because you cannot just stop it and say, no, now we're focusing on innovation and not on improvement anymore. No, you need to maintain your momentum, but you also need to start innovating. And innovation, again, is just a whole different mindset. Everything is different. And you learn this and you see it. And therefore, the framework will give you an idea of what the differences are in great detail. I mean, piece by piece by piece. Yeah.
Yep. With that said, I didn't receive any other questions from our audience. So before I shut down this event, Axel Mattes, would you like to add something, or should we just close the session?
Get in touch with us, ask questions, do not hesitate for reaching out via phone, mail, LinkedIn, on all the channels, and happy to see you in the training.
Yeah, likewise.
Good.
Thank you very much also from my side. And it's the framework training, and this is why we do the webinars, in order to give you a little bit insight up front, is a monster, so to speak, because innovation is a monster. It's like, okay, we want, as a company, we want to be genuinely, truthfully innovative. And that is a shift that is not easy. And that is something where you need to simply know stuff. But the good news is you don't need to be an engineer to understand innovation. And you will even learn in one of the components within the innovation framework that an innovation team that exists only with engineers is doomed to fail. They have no chance. And this goes back to the mindset. I mean, for a radical or breakthrough or disruptive or whatever you want to call it, innovation, you will need a completely new thinking. And when people talk about the new thinking, then most people say, oh, come on, give me a break. This esoteric, blah, blah, blah. I heard it enough. But it is a new thinking. And an engineer who built the product, and there's actually I have to find out and remember, this goes hundreds of years back, is that it says the person who created the problem cannot be the one who solves the problem. And that's actually indicating for us today. I mean, engineers they create problems by not being innovative, and they can't solve it. The physicists the same way, chemists, doctors. I mean, any of those experts' positions would be failing if they are all the same. And Mattes, I like his saying, if you have 10 innovation managers and they're all engineers, you have 10, but they're just more of the same. But if you have an innovation team with marketing people and with other people, then you have a diversity. if you have such a team with no engineers, that would be bad too, because you need that influence too. Again, this is stuff that is also described in the framework, and the same like how our brain works and how it can be stimulated. I have to say, this was every presentation I did in the last basically 5 working days was, yeah, but tell me exactly how this works, and I can give you two things up front, sort of 2 goodies. And this obviously this is just a small part, but it's interesting. When you want to stimulate the brain for new thinking, then you can do this with drugs, you can do this with operations in your brain, and we want to do neither one of that. But when I ask you now, think of a beach, beautiful beach, palm trees, sandy beach. There's a little bar. There's the oil can music, and so you probably have all a very different picture in mind. But what you did just now, I'm 100% sure, at least 90% of you thought of a beach with the music, with the palm trees, and so on. Why did you do that? Because I asked you to do that. Just sitting here asking you to do this. If now I ask you to think, not think, but think of a blue elephant, now you're allowed to think of a blue elephant, then you think of a blue elephant. Now imagine that we have a brainstorm meeting and I ask, come up with some ideas. Then you think and you think and you think and you come up with some ideas, and these are so-called surface ideas. So these are instantaneously coming up. And surface ideas are simple ideas. And surface ideas are loved by the audience because they think, oh, wow, this is cool. Yeah, I understand what he is saying. And you get the sticker. But that's not an innovation. If you go much deeper, the process takes probably not 60 minutes, but actually in our case, 4 weeks. It's a 4 weeks process to get deep, deep, deep into your brain. And then you come up with ideas that you wouldn't believe. I can bet with you almost any number that this will be possible, because I have not seen a case yet where no ideas popped up this way. And so coming to the training is getting all these bits and pieces. And I mean, we thought we could even do it for free, but we want also skin in the game on the other side, meaning we don't want people to entertain people. This is not our job. We want people to really want to know how this works. And this is why we have a price ticket. This is all the reason.
Yeah, perfect.
I'm hoping that you will join if you like it.
Yeah.
So we're clearly on a mission, and leave you alone with the elephant and the beach.
Yeah, I also believe we managed to share the bigger picture of this innovation framework, and we also covered all the questions from our audience. But as Matt has mentioned, the whole BlueCallom team is at your disposal at any time if you have any additional questions or if you need any additional information. But on our website, there is quite a detailed information about the training and everything else we are doing. Thank you again to Axel and Mattes for sharing this insight. Also, thank you to our audience for joining us today. And yeah, I hope to see you all in March. So that's in 1 month.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.